Hello there. Welcome to the Data Radio Show Holiday Specials. Well, I say specials, they're not really super special. I mean, everything we do is kind of special. You know what? I'm just rambling. Here's what's going on. Over the holiday period, we're going to be releasing content every day that's been created by Notebook LM, which is a tool that Google has that basically takes a whole bunch of information and finds a way to disseminate it in a really simple way for people to understand and then present it as a podcast. So we're giving it a bit of a test based on our Data Pro newsletter, which is completely free to sign up to. You can do that. It's in the description down below if you haven't done so already. So we've taken our newsletters from throughout the year and we've created these podcast episodes using Notebook LM. It's a really fascinating experience to see how they differentiate the information that's in there. So have a listen, see what you think of it, and don't forget to subscribe, share, tell everybody about what's going on, but also make sure that you spend some time to yourself these holidays and enjoy the season. We'll be back soon with some fantastic new episodes, but until then, check out this one.
Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something really cool?
I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. Today we're talking all about retrieval augmented generation.
RAG.
RAG.
Catchy.
Right, it's catchy. And it's really changing things up, especially for data engineers.
Yeah, for folks like us dealing with data day in and day out.
Exactly. So imagine giving your favorite AI chatbot,
Like ChatGPT.
yeah, like ChatGPT, giving it this superpower to search a massive library of information.
And not just any library.
Right.
One that's constantly updated, like up to the minute.
Up to the minute. That's RIG in a nutshell, right?
It is. Combining those smarts of large language models with,
The precision of a really good search engine.
Exactly.
So we've got this great article from datapro.news.
Oh, yeah. This one's really interesting.
It is specifically for data engineers, so let's unpack it.
Let's do it. What I find fascinating is how RAG actually addresses a big limitation of those traditional language models.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, think about it. They're trained on this fixed set of data.
Right.
So their knowledge is kind of frozen in time.
It's like stuck in the past.
Exactly. But RAG, it adds this layer of real-time data retrieval.
Okay.
Meaning the responses they give you,
They're not just accurate.
they're current.
They're current. Wow.
It's like having a chatbot with a knowledge base that's constantly updating, always learning.
It's like a chatbot that's always doing its homework.
Exactly. Always staying sharp.
I like that. So let's break down how this whole RAG system actually works, okay?
Okay.
The article highlights 3 key parts.
3 pillars, they call them.
3 pillars, love it. Okay, first up, date pipeline.
Data pipeline. It's like refining crude oil,
Okay.
It takes raw data from all sorts of sources, could be anything really.
Messy data.
Messy, yeah, and transforms it into something the language model can actually use.
So it's making it digestible for the AI.
Exactly, like turning a chaotic library into a well-organized, searchable database.
I like that analogy.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've got to refine data. What's next?
The reg chain, the heart of the operation.
Okay, the brains of the operation.
It's like a super efficient librarian who just gets you.
Oh, I like that.
Knows your question, knows exactly where to find the info.
They don't even need the Dewey Decimal System.
Nope, they just know. And then they summarize those key points just for you.
Oh, that's nice. Very personalized service.
It takes your question, pulls the right data, blends it all together to craft a meaningful response.
So it's not just spitting out facts.
No,
Yeah.
it's creating a story, a narrative.
It's synthesizing.
Exactly.
And like any good system, we need quality control, right?
Absolutely. Got to make sure things are running smoothly.
That's where evaluation comes in, the third pillar.
It's all about checking how well the RG system's performing, Is it accurate? Is it cost effective? Is it fast enough?
Those are the important questions.
They are, making sure it's doing its job, meeting the needs of the user.
So it's like a performance review for the RG system.
Exactly. Gotta
Okay.
keep it on its toes.
So one of the big things this article highlights is how RAG actually makes those language model responses more reliable,
Oh, yeah, much more reliable.
which is super important, especially in fields like,
Journalism.
journalism
And
or scientific
where
research.
accuracy is key, right?
Paramount.
Yeah.
We don't want any fake news
No fake news.
or outdated
No,
science.
so keep it real.
So the article actually mentions how RAG can minimize those weird off-topic responses.
Oh, yeah, the hallucinations.
Yeah, the hallucinations that language models can sometimes give
Those tangents. Go off on a rabbit trail.
to stay focused,
Exactly. RAG keeps the chatbot on track, focused on the facts.
grounded in reality.
Absolutely. By grounding the language model in real-time data, we avoid those hallucinations.
And we make sure the responses are actually relevant and,
Useful.
Useful. Now, to really understand how this works, let's walk through the step-by-step process.
You mean like how a RAG system actually operates?
Exactly, as the article describes it.
Okay, let's break it down.
Okay, so first up, data collection, right?
Yeah, gathering all the necessary information, like from different sources.
It's like gathering ingredients for a recipe,
Yeah,
you know? You need the right stuff to make a delicious outcome.
love that analogy.
So you've got your ingredients, then what?
Then comes data chunking, where we break down those massive data sets into smaller, digestible pieces.
Like bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. It's like taking a huge, intimidating encyclopedia and dividing it into chapters.
Makes sense.
Easier to read, easier to process.
So instead of trying to process a whole encyclopedia at once, we break it down.
Right. Much more manageable that way.
But then how does the language model actually make sense of these data chunks? You know, they're in all sorts of different formats.
Oh, that's where document embeddings come in.
Document embedding.
It's like this clever technique that converts those data chunks into a format the language model actually understands.
So it's translating it for the AI.
Exactly. It's speaking the language model's native tongue.
Gotcha. So we've got our data chopped up, translated.
Ready to go.
What happens next? How does a user actually interact with this system?
Well, when you ask a question, the system cleverly transforms your question.
Like rephrases it.
Yeah, into the same format as those data chunks.
So it's all on the same page.
Exactly. And this allows for super fast and efficient matching, like, think of a search engine finding websites
Oh, okay.
related to what you searched for.
So it's like a superpowered search, but specifically for this data.
Exactly. Finding that needle in the haystack, that most relevant information.
But we're not just looking for a simple answer, right?
No, we want the full story.
Comprehensive response.
And that's where the magic of the language model comes in.
The grand finale.
It takes your question and those relevant data chunks and weaves them together.
Like a tapestry.
Yes. To create a complete and insightful answer.
It's like having a personal researcher and writer all in one.
At your beck and call, ready to provide those insightful answers.
Amazing. But what really brings all of this to life is this story the article tells about Selena Lee,
Selena Lee.
a data engineer from Officeworks in Australia.
A real-world example.
Yes. Her career journey is like a perfect example of how data engineering is changing and, all the opportunities out there, especially with this new tech like ORAG.
Right. She's like living proof that this stuff is the real deal.
So it all starts with Selena in finance.
Working as a financial analyst, numbers all day long.
The classic finance story.
Right. But then here's where things get interesting.
What happened?
She was involved in these major deals.
Big deals.
Huge. And they were heavily reliant on AI and technology.
Wow.
And these experiences, they really sparked her interest in the power of data.
Like a light bulb moment.
Exactly. That data could transform businesses.
So she's seeing firsthand how this stuff is changing the game.
Right. And that's when she decides to make a major career shift.
A big leap.
A leap of faith. She goes back to school to get her master's in IT from Carnegie Mellon.
Carnegie Mellon, that's a big deal.
It is. And this program is intense, super focused on coding, preparing you for the tech world.
Wow.
Talk about dedication, right?
Yeah, she's really invested in this.
And this education, it gave her that foundation to really excel in data engineering.
So she's got the skills now. What's next?
She dives headfirst into consulting, helping businesses use data effectively.
Think about all those companies going through those digital transformations.
Oh, she was right there in the thick of it.
Designing and implementing data solutions, getting that real-world experience.
She was a data engineer in the trenches.
Wow. So she's consulting, she's helping companies?
Yeah, and then she makes a big move, geographically and professionally.
Where does she go?
She heads to Melbourne, Australia, to join Officeworks.
Officeworks, that's a huge retailer.
It is, as an in-house data engineer.
What a journey.
Talk about a global adventure.
So she goes from consulting to managing the data pipeline for a company with thousands of products.
The scale is mind-blowing.
That's a whole new level of responsibility.
Absolutely. And this move shows her adaptability, her willingness to take on those challenges.
She's not afraid of a challenge.
Not at all. At Officeworks, she's not just building the data systems, she's ensuring their smooth operation.
Keeping the engine running.
Exactly. Managing data governance, security, supporting key business initiatives like their loyalty program.
That's real-world impact.
It is. And her story doesn't stop there. She eventually steps into a leadership role, becoming a technical lead.
Oh, wow.
Overseeing the development of data products that directly shape Officeworks' overall strategy.
Talk about a career trajectory. So she goes from finance to data,
Mm.
from consulting to leadership.
It's a fantastic example of how data engineers can rise through the ranks and have a direct impact on how companies use data.
To improve things like customer engagement and
Drive growth.
drive growth. It's amazing.
It is really inspiring.
It really is. Selena's story is really inspiring, right?
It is. It shows how many exciting opportunities are out there in data engineering.
Especially with tech, like RAG evolving.
Oh, absolutely. It's a field that's constantly changing, always pushing those boundaries of what we can do with data.
It really is. And her career path is like proof that you can take different routes and still make a real impact in the world of data.
It's all about the journey.
It is. Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and actually dive into the mechanics of a RAG system.
You mean like how it all works under the hood?
Exactly. Remember those three main components we talked about earlier?
Of course. The data pipeline, the Argy chain, and that evaluation process.
Right. Each one is super important in making sure that a RAG system delivers those accurate, relevant,
And timely.
yes, timely responses.
Got to keep up with the speed of information these days.
Exactly. So the article breaks down how these components work together, step by step.
Kind of like a recipe for building a super smart, data-driven system.
I love that. A recipe for RAG.
So let's start with that first ingredient, shall we? Data collection.
Okay. Data collection, that's where we gather all the relevant information.
From all sorts of places, right? Internal databases, public APIs, web pages.
Even research articles?
Oh, yeah. The key is to identify those sources that are most relevant to the task at hand.
It's like assembling the pieces of a puzzle.
Exactly. You need all the right pieces to see the whole picture.
And once we have all the data, then what?
Then comes data chunking.
Data chunking, right? Where we break down those huge data sets.
Into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Bite-sized.
Bite-sized, exactly. It's like taking a giant novel and splitting it into chapters.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's about making that information easier to understand, both for the system.
And for the user.
Makes sense. But then how does the language model actually understand those chunks of data? I mean, they could be in all sorts of different formats.
That's where document embeddings come into play.
Document embeddings. That sounds complex.
It's a pretty clever technique that basically transforms those data chunks into a format that the language model can actually work with.
So it's translating it.
It's like a universal translator for data, making sure everyone can understand each other.
I get it. So we've got our data all chopped up and translated for the language model. What happens next? Like when a user actually wants to use the system,
Well, when a user asks a question,
they type it in.
yeah, the system then converts that question into the same format as those data chunks.
So it's all matching.
Matching, exactly.
Right.
This allows for super fast matching. Think of it like a search engine finding websites related to your search.
Okay, so it knows where to look.
Knows exactly where to look for those relevant pieces of information.
But we're not just looking for a list of websites here.
No, we want a fully formed answer.
We want a well-crafted, informative response.
And that's where the language model really shines.
The magic happens.
It takes the user's question and those data chunks and weaves them together to create a coherent and insightful answer.
It's like having your own personal expert who can instantly synthesize all that information
And give you the answers you need.
right there at your fingertips. And, as we saw with Selena's story, this technology goes way beyond just data engineering.
Oh, absolutely. Think about all the potential applications. Like, imagine customer service chatbots.
That actually know your entire purchase history.
Exactly. And can give you personalized recommendations.
Or what about financial advisors who can analyze market trends in real time?
And give you up-to-the-minute investment advice.
The possibilities are endless.
Truly endless. It feels like we're on the verge of a whole new era of intelligent systems,
Yeah. Transforming the way we live, work, and even learn.
It's a really exciting time to be involved in this field.
It is. But it's important to remember that with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Oh, absolutely. As we rely more and more on these AI systems, we need to be mindful of how they're being developed.
And make sure they're being used ethically.
That's a crucial point. We can't just get swept up in all the excitement and ignore those potential downsides.
You're right. Our job is exciting, but we have to be realistic about the challenges too.
Definitely. One of the biggest challenges is ensuring data quality.
Oh, that makes sense.
Remember, these systems are only as good as the data they learn from.
So if the data is bad,
Biased, incomplete, inaccurate,
the system will just spit out more bad information.
garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. So data quality is super important.
It's paramount. And it's something that we as data engineers need to be very careful about.
Absolutely. Another challenge that comes to mind is scalability.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
As the amount of data keeps growing,
Exponentially.
we need to make sure that these RG systems can actually handle all that information.
Without slowing down.
Right. It's like upgrading from a bicycle to a race car.
Okay, I like that analogy.
You need a more powerful engine to handle that increased speed and those demands.
You need something that can go from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Exactly. And speaking of speed, efficiency is another big factor.
Users expect answers quickly. No one wants to wait around forever for a chatbot to respond.
It's got to be snappy.
Exactly. So we need to find that sweet spot between accuracy, speed, and cost effectiveness.
It's a balancing act.
It is. But I think one of the most important things to remember is that these systems are tools, just like any other tool.
They can be used for good or for bad.
It all comes down to human intention and those ethical considerations we bring to the table.
It's about using these powerful technologies to benefit everyone,
Exactly. It's our responsibility to make sure that happens.
to steer the ship in the right direction.
And avoid those potential icebergs.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical details of RAG to those real-world applications and, of course, the ethical considerations.
It's been a whirlwind tour of RAG.
It has. But it's so important to have these conversations.
To really think about the impact of this technology.
It really has been a whirlwind tour of RAG.
Yeah, it's amazing how much ground we've covered.
We've gone from, like, understanding the basics to some pretty complex concepts.
And it's all thanks to that fantastic article from datapro.news.
Right? It's been a great guide for our deep dive today.
It really has. I mean, ROD is such a fascinating topic.
It really is. And, one of the things that makes it so fascinating is how it can impact so many different industries.
Oh, absolutely. It goes way beyond just data engineering.
Exactly. I mean, we've talked about data engineering, but it's so much bigger than that.
Think about, like, healthcare, for example.
Oh, yeah, healthcare.
Imagine RGIC systems that can help doctors diagnose diseases more accurately.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Right, by analyzing tons of medical data, research, all that stuff.
Then like having a superpowered medical assistant.
Exactly. Helping doctors make those critical decisions.
And what about finance?
Oh, finance is another great example.
RAG could be used to create, like, more sophisticated trading algorithms.
Or even provide personalized financial advice, based on your specific situation.
That'd be pretty cool, having an AI financial advisor.
And it's not just about making money, it could also help manage risk.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a big part of finance, too.
And let's not forget about education.
Education.
Yeah.
Yeah, how could RAG transform education?
Imagine personalized learning platforms, ones that actually adapt to each student's needs.
That's amazing.
Powered by RAG systems that can access and synthesize all sorts of information.
From like textbooks to videos to online resources.
Exactly. It could revolutionize the way we learn.
It really feels like we're on the cusp of a new era,
I know, an era of intelligent systems that can transform how we live and work.
And learn. It's exciting.
It really is. And, I think Selena Lee's story is a great example of how we can all be a part of this change.
Absolutely. Her journey shows that there are so many ways to make an impact in this field.
And with technologies like RAG emerging, the demand for skilled data engineers is just going to keep growing.
That's right. It's a field with so much opportunity, especially for those who are passionate about data.
Who understand its potential to shape the future.
So, for our listeners who are maybe thinking about a career in data engineering or just want to learn more about RAG, what are some key takeaways that you keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, remember that RAG combines those strengths of large language models with real-time access to data.
It's about building systems that are smart and grounded in facts.
Right, and capable of adapting to all that new information that's constantly coming in.
It's like giving those LLMs a superpower.
The ability to access and process information in ways we never thought possible.
And as we've talked about, those superpowers can be used in so many different ways across industries to solve real-world challenges.
Exactly. It's about being creative, thinking outside the box, and coming up with new solutions.
And it's important to remember that this field is constantly evolving.
Staying curious, keeping up with those latest advancements, that's crucial.
Couldn't agree more. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into RAG today, I want to leave our listeners with this thought-provoking question.
Oh, I love a good thought-provoking question.
How might this technology transform industries beyond what we've already discussed?
Ooh, that's a good one. What new applications and possibilities can you envision?
It's really a question with endless answers.
Who knows what the future holds for ARG, but I'm excited to see what amazing things people create with it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of retrieval augmented generation.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
Likewise, until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data.
And keep those innovative ideas flowing.
Absolutely.